My dear brothers and sisters, the morning is not just the beginning of a new day, it is a moment of immense potential, a time when the choices you make can ripple through your entire life. Fajr, the early morning prayer, is a gift from Allah, a chance to start the day aligned with His mercy, guidance, and blessings. The Quran reminds us, indeed, the prayer is prescribed at fixed times. Surah An-Nisa 4:103. Fajr is the first of these times, a sacred moment when the world is still, the heart is fresh, and the soul is most receptive. How we spend this time can shape our energy, our focus, and our destiny. Rising for Fajr is not merely about performing a ritual, it is about cultivating discipline and inviting divine Barakah into your life. There is something transformative in choosing to wake while the world sleeps, to stand before Allah in submission and humility. Discipline in the morning sets the tone for consistency throughout the day, instills patience, strengthens willpower, and opens the heart to the guidance of Allah. It teaches that success is not only about effort, but also about aligning our actions with divine timing. Those who commit to Fajr often notice subtle but profound shifts. Their days flow with more focus, their decisions carry more clarity, and their hearts feel lighter because they have begun their day with Allah. Consider the real-life stories of transformation that Fajr inspires. People who struggled with direction in life, financial hardship, or personal challenges began waking up for Fajr consistently. Slowly but surely, doors opened for them in ways they had never imagined. Opportunities arrived unexpectedly, relationships improved, and guidance appeared at critical moments. These changes are not coincidences, they are the manifestation of Allah's mercy responding to a heart that chooses to start each day in His remembrance. The morning becomes a time when the believer connects with the source of all success, protection, and clarity. The moments surrounding Fajr are particularly special because they amplify the power of dua and reflection. The stillness of the early hours allows the heart to speak freely to Allah, to whisper fears, hopes, and aspirations without distraction. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, emphasized that there are times when dua is more likely to be answered, and the early morning is one of them. It is in these quiet moments that the soul becomes aware of its reliance on Allah, that the heart feels the nearness of the Creator, and that the believer gains the spiritual strength to face the day ahead. Finally, committing to Fajr with sincerity is an act of surrender and preparation for the blessings that Allah has written for you. When you rise, pray, and reflect, you are aligning your actions with divine will. You are preparing your mind, heart, and soul to recognize opportunities, make wise choices, and respond to life with clarity and faith. Fajr transforms not just a day but a life, because the habits, mindset, and spiritual energy cultivated in the early hours ripple outward into every decision, every relationship, and every moment of the day. Your morning has the potential to decide your life. When you embrace Fajr with sincerity, trust Allah's plan, and prepare your heart for His guidance, you unlock a flow of blessings that can transform your destiny in ways unimaginable. This is the secret of the early hours. They are not just a time of prayer, but a doorway to a life filled with purpose, mercy, and divine direction. The power of Fajr is unparalleled because it marks the beginning of the day, a time when the world is still quiet, and the heart is most receptive to Allah's guidance and mercy. This early hour carries a unique energy, a sacred opportunity to start the day in alignment with divine will. The Quran emphasizes the significance of fixed prayers, particularly those performed at their appointed times, and Fajr is the first of these moments. When a believer wakes up for Fajr, they are not merely performing a ritual, they are actively choosing to dedicate the first part of their day to Allah, to prioritize their Creator over the distractions and demands of the world. This choice sets the tone for the entire day, influencing thoughts, actions, and decisions in ways that extend far beyond the morning itself. Rising for Fajr requires discipline, and it is this discipline that begins to transform a believer's life. Discipline in the early hours builds resilience, strengthens willpower, and develops the habit of consistency, which carries over into every area of life. A person who wakes up consistently for Fajr learns to manage time more effectively, approach challenges with patience, and navigate the day with a sense of purpose. There is a deep sense of inner calm that accompanies those who rise for the early prayer, a tranquility born from knowing that the first act of their day is one of obedience and connection to Allah. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, highlighted the value of Fajr, noting that it is a time when angels bear witness, and when the day begins with divine blessing. This sacred beginning creates a momentum that shapes behavior, decisions, and even emotional responses throughout the day. The spiritual benefits of Fajr are closely intertwined with its timing. The early hours are marked by stillness and quiet, a time when worldly distractions are minimal and the mind is more focused. In this silence, the heart finds space to reflect, to pour out dua, and to attune itself to Allah's presence. This moment is an invitation to cultivate mindfulness and spiritual awareness, to start the day not with stress, worry, or haste, but with intention, gratitude, and submission. A believer who seizes this time is able to carry a sense of calm and clarity into their daily interactions, making decisions with insight rather than impulse, responding with patience rather than frustration, and approaching challenges with a heart grounded in trust. Fajr also impacts the practical aspects of life. Waking early allows a person to organize their day with intentionality, plan effectively, and approach work, study, or family responsibilities with energy and focus. There is a correlation between starting the day with Allah and the flow of Barakah, the divine blessing, in daily activities. Those who consistently observe Fajr often notice that their efforts are more fruitful, their productivity increases, and doors begin to open in ways they had not anticipated. These outcomes are not mere coincidences, they are the natural result of aligning one's life with divine guidance, starting the day with what is most important rather than what is most convenient. Moreover, Fajr strengthens faith and cultivates a sense of accountability. Rising for this prayer requires prioritizing spiritual obligations over sleep, comfort, and worldly routines. This act of devotion reinforces the believer's awareness that life is not solely about personal desires or immediate satisfaction, but about obedience, reflection, and alignment with Allah's plan. Each Fajr prayer is a renewal of commitment, a chance to begin anew, and a reminder that the choices we make in the morning, choices to connect with Allah, to act with intention, and to prioritize what is eternal over what is temporary, have the power to shape the trajectory of our lives. When a person understands the power of Fajr, it becomes more than just a prayer, it becomes a catalyst for transformation, a key that unlocks spiritual, emotional, and practical growth, and a moment that determines how the rest of the day unfolds. Rising for Fajr is a conscious decision to start the day in the presence of Allah, to seek His guidance, and to invite His mercy and barakah into every aspect of life. The early morning holds the potential to influence not only the hours that follow, but the direction of one's entire journey, as each day becomes a building block in the life of obedience, purpose, and divine alignment. Discipline is the bridge between intention and blessing, and nowhere is this more evident than in the practice of waking for Fajr. The act of rising early, while the world still sleeps, requires a level of commitment, self-control, and consistency that shapes both character and destiny. Many people underestimate the transformative power of discipline, seeing it only as an effort or a struggle, but in reality, discipline is the vehicle through which divine barakah flows into life. When a believer cultivates the habit of Fajr, they are not only performing a ritual, they are training the mind and the heart to prioritize what is eternal over what is temporary, to place obedience to Allah above comfort, and to align their daily routine with divine guidance. Discipline in observing Fajr fosters consistency in other areas of life as well. A person who rises for prayer regularly develops a structure that impacts work, relationships, personal growth, and spiritual practice. This consistent pattern builds reliability and focus, allowing the believer to approach tasks with clarity and patience. Over time, the discipline of Fajr instills a sense of control over one's own impulses, helping the believer resist distractions, procrastination, and impulsive decisions. It is not just about waking up early, it is about cultivating a mindset that seeks order, purpose, and alignment with Allah's plan. Through this regularity, the believer experiences a ripple effect. The energy, focus, and calmness developed in the early morning extend into the challenges, opportunities, and decisions of the day. The connection between discipline and divine blessing is particularly profound when it comes to spiritual receptivity. The early hours of the day, when the world is quiet and the mind is alert, are especially favorable for engaging in worship, reflection, and dua. By choosing discipline over comfort, the believer demonstrates sincerity, commitment, and prioritization of Allah's guidance. These qualities open the heart to divine mercy, allowing blessings to enter in both visible and subtle ways. The Qur'an emphasizes the importance of discipline and perseverance in worship, highlighting that consistent obedience, even in small acts, carries immense reward. The discipline of Fajr is a living example of this principle, illustrating how repeated intentional acts of devotion attract Allah's favor and guidance. Discipline also cultivates resilience. Life is unpredictable, filled with challenges, distractions, and moments of fatigue or despair. The practice of waking for Fajr teaches the believer to persevere, to honor commitments even when it is inconvenient, and to prioritize spiritual growth over immediate comfort. This resilience translates into the broader scope of life. A person who masters the discipline of Fajr is better equipped to handle trials, maintain focus during challenges, and navigate the pressures of work, family, and social responsibilities. Each morning that is consciously devoted to Allah reinforces the strength of will and the capacity to respond to life with patience, clarity, and faith. Moreover, discipline in Fajr creates a sense of accountability and self-awareness. By consistently observing this prayer, the believer becomes attuned to the rhythms of their own life, recognizing when the heart is distracted, when intentions are sincere, and when actions are aligned with divine guidance. The structure provided by discipline serves as a reminder that life is purposeful and that each decision carries weight. Over time, the believer begins to approach the day with intentionality, integrating prayer, reflection, and ethical action into every aspect of daily life. Ultimately, the discipline of Fajr is both a spiritual and practical investment. It is a training ground for character, a source of divine barakah, and a foundation for consistency, resilience, and intentionality. By choosing to rise early and commit to prayer, the believer opens the door to countless blessings that extend far beyond the morning itself, shaping not only the hours of the day, but the trajectory of life itself. The act of disciplined devotion aligns the heart, mind, and soul with Allah's plan, creating a rhythm of obedience and presence that transforms ordinary mornings into moments of immense spiritual and worldly significance. Stories of transformation through Fajr are powerful reminders that the early morning prayer is more than a ritual. It is a catalyst for change, a doorway to divine guidance, and a source of blessings that ripple throughout a person's life. Many people struggle in various aspects of life, financially, emotionally, spiritually, or socially, often searching for solutions in places that cannot provide lasting relief. Then, the simple act of committing to Fajr begins to shift their trajectory. These stories show that when a believer rises for the early prayer, submits to Allah's command, and starts the day with mindfulness and devotion, doors begin to open that were previously unseen, obstacles diminish, and life begins to unfold in alignment with divine wisdom. Consider the story of a young professional facing repeated failures in their career. Despite talent and effort, opportunities seemed scarce and discouragement was mounting. When they began observing Fajr consistently, something remarkable occurred. They found clarity in decision-making, the energy to pursue tasks with renewed focus, and encounters that brought guidance and support at precisely the right moment. What once seemed like random events, meeting a mentor unexpectedly, receiving timely advice, or discovering a hidden opportunity, revealed itself as divine orchestration. The discipline of Fajr prepared the heart to notice these signs and act upon them, transforming a cycle of frustration into one of momentum and success. Another example can be found in personal relationships. A family struggling with conflict, misunderstandings, or distance often experiences transformation when individuals begin to prioritize Fajr. The act of rising early and connecting with Allah fosters patience, humility, and emotional clarity. One might approach conflicts with a calmer heart, communicate more effectively, and develop empathy that was previously absent. The ripple effect of these changes often restores broken bonds, strengthens family ties, and cultivates an environment of peace and understanding. Fajr, in this sense, becomes not just a spiritual practice, but a tool for reshaping one's environment and relationships in ways that align with divine blessing. Financial transformation is also frequently tied to Fajr. Many believers report that after committing to the early prayer, opportunities for income, business, or career advancement appear unexpectedly. These may include job offers, partnerships, mentorships, or solutions to long-standing financial challenges. The timing is never coincidental. The preparation of the heart and the alignment of effort with divine guidance attract barakah into daily life. The early hours are imbued with a sense of purpose and attentiveness that allows believers to recognize opportunities, seize them wisely, and experience growth that would have been impossible without spiritual readiness. Even on a spiritual level, Fajr has a profound transformative effect. Individuals who previously felt distant from Allah or struggled with consistency in worship often experience renewed closeness through the early prayer. The stillness of the morning, the focus of the heart, and the act of submission awaken spiritual awareness and sensitivity. Over time, these moments cultivate gratitude, reliance on Allah, and a sense of inner peace that permeates every decision and interaction. The believer becomes more attuned to divine signs, more patient in trials, and more resilient in the face of challenges. These stories collectively demonstrate that Fajr is a vehicle for holistic transformation. It shapes character, revitalizes the spirit, improves relationships, and attracts guidance and opportunity. The key factor is sincerity and consistency, rising with intention, connecting with Allah, and approaching the day with mindfulness and purpose. Each morning of devotion is an investment in the future, a step toward realizing potential, and a way to align daily life with divine will. Through these narratives, it becomes clear that Fajr is not just a prayer, but a transformative force that can redirect lives, elevate hearts, and unlock blessings in ways that are profound, timely, and precisely orchestrated by Allah. The early hours of the morning surrounding Fajr carry a unique spiritual energy that amplifies dua, reflection, and connection with Allah in ways that no other time of day can replicate. In these quiet moments, the mind is uncluttered, the heart is receptive, and the world is still. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, emphasized the significance of these hours, noting that dua made at certain times is more likely to be answered, and the time before and after Fajr is among the most blessed. This period is an opportunity for believers to pour their hearts out to Allah, to seek guidance, forgiveness, and mercy, and to prepare spiritually for the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead in the day. The stillness of the early morning allows for a clarity of thought and a depth of sincerity that is often impossible to achieve later when the mind is distracted by worldly concerns. During these sacred moments, the believer has the chance to engage in reflection, considering the direction of their life, the intentions behind their actions, and the alignment of their daily routine with Allah's will. Reflection before and after Fajr is not merely an intellectual exercise, it is a spiritual practice that cultivates awareness and mindfulness. The Qur'an repeatedly encourages believers to reflect upon themselves and the signs of Allah in the universe. The early morning is a natural time for such reflection because the external distractions are minimal, allowing the heart to focus entirely on its Creator. This heightened receptivity can lead to insights, emotional clarity, and a renewed sense of purpose that carries throughout the day. Dua in these early hours is particularly potent because it reflects a state of humility, sincerity, and dependence on Allah. The believer is physically and spiritually present, having chosen to rise despite the comfort of sleep, demonstrating commitment and submission. This sincerity amplifies the power of dua, as the heart is uncluttered by pretense, distraction, or worldly concerns. Whether asking for guidance, seeking relief from hardship, or expressing gratitude, the act of speaking to Allah during this time strengthens the connection between the believer and the Creator. Over time, the habit of making dua before and after Fajr cultivates an enduring reliance on Allah, reinforcing the understanding that all success, provision, and peace come from Him alone. The early hours also provide a unique opportunity for planning and preparation. While the spiritual focus is central, these moments can be used to set intentions for the day, identify priorities, and mentally and emotionally prepare for challenges. The clarity that comes from connecting with Allah in this stillness helps the believer approach the day with patience, focus, and resilience. Decisions made with a heart oriented toward divine guidance are more likely to lead to positive outcomes, demonstrating how the spiritual practice of Fajr interweaves with practical life. This combination of spiritual and practical preparation is what makes the early hours so transformative, as the believer is guided in both inner disposition and outward action. Furthermore, the moments surrounding Fajr create an awareness of divine timing and mercy. When a believer consistently engages in reflection and dua during these hours, they develop the ability to recognize subtle signs, guidance, and opportunities that might otherwise go unnoticed. This spiritual attunement increases faith, cultivates gratitude, and strengthens patience. The early morning becomes a sacred threshold, a time when the believer can align their heart, mind, and intentions with Allah's plan, setting a rhythm for the day that is rooted in trust, mindfulness, and obedience. By embracing the early hours before and after Fajr, the believer taps into a unique reservoir of spiritual power and insight. These moments offer a combination of clarity, receptivity, and divine favor that can shape the trajectory of the day and, cumulatively, the course of one's life. Through reflection, sincere dua, and aligned with Allah's guidance. The early morning becomes a transformative space where hearts are softened, intentions are clarified, and the believer is prepared to navigate the day with faith, purpose, and divine support. Surrender, preparation, and alignment with Allah's plan are the keys to transforming one's destiny through Fajr. Rising early and performing the prayer is not just an act of obedience, it is a conscious decision to align the start of the day with divine will, to set intentions that reflect faith, and to prepare the heart, mind, and body for the challenges and opportunities ahead. Surrender in this context means entrusting the outcomes of the day entirely to Allah, recognizing that human effort alone cannot guarantee results, and that true success comes from acting in harmony with His guidance. When a believer surrenders fully, they approach Fajr not as a routine obligation, but as a gateway to receiving blessings, protection, and clarity for every aspect of life. Preparation for the day begins with the act of rising for Fajr, which disciplines both the body and the mind. Waking before dawn requires effort and intentionality, creating a sense of alertness and focus that carries into daily tasks. This physical preparation, overcoming sleepiness, organizing oneself, and stepping into the stillness of the morning, parallels spiritual preparation. The mind becomes centered, the heart softens, and the soul becomes receptive to divine guidance. Preparation also involves reflection, planning, and seeking knowledge, ensuring that each day is approached with purpose and mindfulness. By combining physical readiness with spiritual alignment, the believer creates a foundation upon which blessings can manifest. Alignment with Allah's plan is crucial because life is filled with uncertainties, challenges, and moments of decision. By performing Fajr with sincerity and devotion, the believer sets a tone of obedience and mindfulness that guides actions and decisions throughout the day. Each moment spent in prayer and reflection is an opportunity to calibrate the heart toward righteousness, patience, and gratitude. This alignment allows the believer to recognize signs, make wise choices, and respond to circumstances in ways that are consistent with divine guidance. The Qur'an reminds us, and put your trust in Allah, and sufficient is Allah as a disposer of affairs. Surah Al-Ahzab 33b, emphasizing that trust and alignment with divine will are inseparable from action and preparation. Surrender through Fajr also cultivates humility. By beginning the day in submission to Allah, the believer acknowledges their dependence on divine wisdom and mercy. This humility softens the heart, reduces arrogance, and opens the soul to receiving guidance and blessings that might otherwise be overlooked. The act of surrender transforms the mind from one focused solely on personal ambition to one that seeks harmony with divine timing, understanding that every event, encounter, and opportunity has been orchestrated with precision. This recognition strengthens patience during trials and increases gratitude during moments of ease. Preparation extends beyond the spiritual and mental realms into practical action. A believer who begins the day with Fajr is more likely to approach tasks with organization, discipline, and focus. The clarity and calmness cultivated in the early morning enable more effective decision-making, better time management, and greater awareness of opportunities. These practical benefits are intertwined with spiritual receptivity. The heart attuned to Allah's guidance notices the paths, connections, and solutions that might remain invisible to someone who begins the day without intentional devotion. The combination of surrender, preparation, and alignment through Fajr ultimately transforms not just the day, but the trajectory of life. Each morning becomes an opportunity to renew commitment, recalibrate intentions, and connect with the source of all guidance and blessing. When these elements converge, sincere surrender, thoughtful preparation, and alignment with Allah's plan, the believer steps into the day with confidence, purpose, and readiness to embrace the opportunities and guidance that Allah places before them. Through this practice, the early hours become more than routine. They become a transformative force, capable of shaping destiny, creating a life infused with divine mercy, guidance, and barakah, and enabling the believer to navigate the challenges and blessings of life with faith and clarity.